His exact quote was, I decided to accept what I already had instead of trying to change my feelings. I decided to accept what I already had, which was a male body, as a good gift from God. And that's what we have to help people to see.
I was recently catching up on an episode of the hit medical show Good Doctor, and in that there is a kid who comes for gender confirmation surgery. So he's undergoing gender transformation to be a girl, and in an interaction with the character Sean Murphy, she asked, "Well, how do you know you're supposed to be a boy?" But for a Christian, the question of gender dysphoria is very difficult because we see that God, who was purpose oriented, who knew us before the creation of the universe, who knew us in our mother's womb, who purposefully created us, me as an individual and me with my body. So for the secular world, something like gender dysphoria is something that you grapple with and you come to terms with and you embrace it. Maybe that's what is fed in the secular world. But for a Christian, when he notices that someone has gender dysphoria, when the Christian is informed with God's purpose in human creation, what should be our response to gender dysphoria? How do we engage with it?
Yeah, so we have to help people to see that, that the secular ethic is based on a very low degree of the body, that it demeans the body. I'll give you Love Thy Body has lots of stories. So there was a woman who lived as a lesbian for many years, and today she's married to a man and has 2 children. And she says, the turning point for her was, I came to realize that God had made me female for a reason. And I wanted to honor my body by living in accord with the Creator's design. That's a direct quote. That's the message we need to get across to people, that the Christian ethic is about honoring our body. It's about living in accord with the Creator's design. It's about respecting our biological sex. There's interesting enough, one of the arguments that has been very well received, even by my secular friends, which was kind of a surprise, was an argument based on environmentalism. And you say, what's the connection? The environmental movement has helped us to see that in order to avoid ecological disasters and pollution, we need to respect the natural order. It doesn't mean you can't intervene, but when you do, you have to respect the order that's there.
Right.
And what Christians are saying is that in terms of our sexual ethic, we need to respect our biological sex just as much as you respect that tree or that river out there and you don't throw pollutants on it. Right. By the same token, we're saying we should respect our biology. And it's amazing. I give that argument even to secular friends, and because environmentalism is so widespread now, which is good, they immediately see, okay, I get what you're saying. They may not agree with you yet, right, but they get what you're saying. And so, and I'll give you one more example, just because it's examples bring it to life. One of my major examples on homosexuality is a young man named Sean Doherty, who grew up exclusively attracted to the same sex, but today is married and to a woman, and you have to say that these days, married to a woman, and has 3 children, and is a Christian ethics professor, by the way, in London. Anyway, the interesting thing about his story is that he grew up in a gay affirming family and attended a gay affirming church. So he didn't think there was anything morally wrong with homosexuality. So he was not driven by shame or guilt. So why would he change? He said it's because he acquired a new understanding of the body from a biblical point of view. He said, I didn't try to change my sexual orientation because it rarely works, right? He said, what I did do is I decided to base my identity on my body, because it was clear, your feelings change. Your feelings can change and sometimes do, but your body is an empirically knowable fact that doesn't change. Right. And he said, I decided it made more sense to take my body as God's indication of who I am and to begin to build my identity on my body instead of on my sexual feelings. And he said, and eventually my feelings did follow suit. So that's the the sort of theme at the bottom of this is, I forgot his exact quote. His exact quote was, I decided to accept what I already had instead of trying to change my feelings. I decided to accept what I already had, which was a male body, as a good gift from God. And that's what we have to help people to see. This is not a negative message. I think Christians are often known for, don't do it, it's a sin, it's wrong, and there's something wrong with you. And so our language has to change. No, we're talking, accept your body as a good gift from God. We do not live in a cosmos driven by meaningless material forces. We live in a cosmos created by a loving God, and therefore we accept what he's given us as a good gift. So the changing of the language is a big part of communicating the Christian worldview more effectively.